Okay, good day to all. This is the video lecture for the continuation of our topic in the face-to-face discussion in classroom. We ended up with the basic technology of the expenditure cycle, purchase and cash disbursement. No, now we'll continue on the advanced technology, applying a higher level of technology for our cash disbursement system. So the general concept is that we do, for the advanced technology, the goal is to this one. So integrate the accounting or and other business processes into one information system. In a basic technology, it's possible that one department will use a certain system. So that's what you call a standalone system or independent system. Like for example, although in my experience, when I worked in a certain family-owned company, as I mentioned to you, they have there's a separate AR system for sales and receivable, and then for the sales and receivable to be recorded to the books, there's a separate GL system. So what they do is that they transfer files or download files from the AR system to the GL system. So in advanced technology, the goal is that you only have one system, like an ERP, like SAP, that different departments will share the information system, and the main advantage of that is this operational performance. Okay, here there's the improvement. Why? Basically, you reduce your non-value added task. The main non-value added task here is that the transfer information from one to the other. And then the possibility, since this will be manually done, the possibility of information from one system to the other, specifically from the source system to the GL system, that there will be errors. Okay, and if there will be errors, then there will be repetition. But in case of advanced technology like a common system, they have a common database, so information is automatically transferred without or with less human intervention from the specific source systems to the GL system. Okay. Okay. For this slide, you can see here the integrated purchase system flowchart. Compared to the basic purchase system flowchart, there are less figures, flowcharting symbols used, there are less processes, more of the automated processes, uh, where the rectangle is used, and less of the inverted trapezoids. You also see less hard copy documents and more of files. Another important thing that you can notice is that there is a computer operations department added here. Okay, and you do not see anymore the inventory control department, because the task of the inventory control department of updating the subsidiary ledger is now under the computer operations department. Under the bulk of the activities are under here, and most specifically the computer operations department handle uh, handles the system, the purchase system, which processes most of the activities. The purchase system, in which it is programmed, so the computer logic of the system uh, processes the activities. If we look at the process, so we can see, so we can repeat the process. We start with, you start with the sales order system when you sell goods, and the inventory stocks go below the specific level or the order level. You can see here in SAP, when you do the SAP for the case study, you always check the stock status to determine if the stocks are or there are available stocks before you sell. And then the purchase requisition will be generated automatically. So activities here, per description of our author, is the activities here are automated, meaning the uh, computer system automatically performs activities without human intervention. Okay. The purchase requisition is generated, and then using this purchase requisition, the purchase system processes the purchase order, and it is automatically printed or generated and sent to the vendor or supplier. Another important uh, alternative of automatically printing the purchase order because it's difficult that uh, every time there's a purchase acquisition. For example, the one in charge here, the one who monitors the activities here, the computer operations will just see the printer automatically printing the purchase order. Another method, or it's also a form of control, is that to use the output spooling. Okay, output, uh, output, or spooling. I'll just mention it. It's difficult to write here. So you call that the output spooling or the spool file. Meaning, after you remember the IPO framework, so after processing, instead of the output automatically be printed, so it is saved into a soft copy, and then an end user can trigger the printing of the soft copy so that you can have a hard copy. Okay. So if you do that, then you will create the PO file here. So the PO file is still open because it will be closed if the receiving report is received or after the receiving report is received. The next thing that we need to do, or the next thing that will happen, is that the vendor will send the goods. So the goods are with the packing slip. Remember, in the sales order processing system, the packing slip goes with the goods. And so when the goods are sent to the customer, or in the case, uh, in the case of the purchase cycle, the buyer, so we also receive the packing slip. And in this one, based on the goods and the packing slip, so and on the blind copy of the purchase order, the goods will be inspected and the receiving report will be prepared and entered to the system. The hard copy will be sent to the stores. The packing slip will be filed, and then the receiving report will be entered to the system. The receiving report file will be updated. You can see here that, or in the next slide, it will show you that when the receiving report is entered into the system, the GL accounts are already updated. Basically, when you speak of GL accounts, this pertain to the entry on the inventory control and AP. Basically, more or less, um, when goods are received, or the entry for the inventory and AP may pertain or may be triggered by the receiving or the accounts payable. Okay. If you look at it closely, inventory should be debited when the goods are received. This it happens here in the receiving department, and then the accounts payable should be credited when the invoice is received, which happens in accounts payable. Since it should be a double entry, so either you record the inventory, debit, credit, AP in the receiving department, or here in the accounts payable department. So as long as uh, these activities in these two departments will happen either in the same day or in the same month or in the same year, in the same period, there will be no problem. The problem arises when the goods are received here, for example, December 31, and then the invoice will be received on January 15. So there will be a problem in the recording. In SAP, however, there's no problem with regard to the timing because there's a certain account which we call the GRIR account. GRIR account. You can see that when I'll be asking you to do the exercise. The GRIR stands for the goods receipt, invoice receipt. In here, when the goods are received, the entry will be the inventory credit GRIR account. So GRIR account is basically GRIR account is a temporary expense account, meaning this account is temporarily used, but it should be closed at year end. So the entry at the receiving department is debit inventory, then credit GRIR account. The nature of the GRIR account there is payable. And when the invoice is received, the entry will now be debit GRIR account, credit accounts payable. So because the invoice is received, there should be accounts payable. The GRIR account here, the nature of that is an inventory. So if the amounts in the receiving department and AP will be the same, then the GRIR account credited in the receiving department and uh, debited in the AP will close. In addition, just to emphasize, when you debit in the receiving department and you debit inventory credit GRIR, it pertains to the goods receipt of the GRIR. For the accounts payable, when you debit the GRIR account, it pertains to the invoice. Okay, the GRIR accounts here describe the transactions happening in the receiving department and accounts payable department. So we then proceed. Then after the goods are received in the receiving department, the vendor will send the supplier's invoice, the vendor invoice. The accounts payable will process this one and then enter into the system. The hard copy will be filed, and then when it is entered to the system, you can see here the vendor invoice will now be updated. Okay. Uh, just to emphasize also, the open PO here will be closed when the receiving report will be received. And then the receiving report also will trigger the updating of the inventory subsidiary ledger. An important here to note in this flowchart of the integrated purchasing system is that the clerical activities done by the purchasing department and the GL department are done by the computer operation. So specifically in the purchasing, the preparation of the PO for the GL department, the posting of the entries from the GL or from the JB rather to the GL. But now those activities are done by the computer operation. So what is their task? What will be their task at this point? So basically, in an integrated system, departments doing clerical tasks will now do a higher level of activity, which will now be review of the documents. In this case, for the purchasing department, they will be printing the PO list and they will review it, then file it. For the GL department, they will be reviewing the GL or the GL reports, then file. Just a thing to mention, I think somehow the author made probably actually I don't know why is the diagram like this one in the cash disbursement. I think it's proper. As you can see here, uh, when the arrow goes from the file to the process, example in this one for the sorry for the PR to the purchasing system, you can see here the arrow here. It means that this is your input and this is your output. Okay. But for the when you see that the process here, you compare the process and a certain uh, document here. So if this is the case, so it shows that it is an output because the documents will be printed. So basically, on my observation, the arrow it is more appropriate that the arrow should be here. Okay, like this one instead of this one. Okay, because the purchasing department will print the PO listing from the will access the purchase system and print it. So this is an output. So the arrow should go here. Same goes with the GL. Okay, from here, I think the arrow should go here. Okay, you can see in the cash disbursement that the arrows are more appropriate.